Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live on Facebook every single day of the week, 10:30 in the morning, where we exchange and share headlines, news, topics, adventures, tips, suggestions, and all kinds of information that improves the quality of life for us as an English-speaking community here in Puerto Vallarta. I always say something different during the intro, and somehow I always end up saying the same thing. I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. We're always joined by wonderful friends that we're meeting and getting to know better, and we're always joined by new people, new friends that discover Coffee and Headlines. So if you happen to be new, my name is Paco, and we'd love to give you a proper welcome, and we can do that if you write the word new in your comment, and we will just cheerfully welcome you to Coffee and Headlines. Today, let me very quickly take a look at who's in the house, because we always want to say hello to as many people as we can. It's the weekend. Let's see. Louise is in the house. Good morning, Louise. Nuevo Vallarta is in the house. And yes, it's going to be another one of those hot days, Terry. It's great to see you. Texas is watching, says Brenda. Good morning. Palm Springs is in the house. The Ozarks are in the house. Conchas Chinas is in the house. It's great to see you all. Good morning, Jorge from New York City. Start spreading the news. And who else is here? Well, there's just a bunch of you here, and it always makes me very happy to see you. And lately, I get so excited seeing these news that so many of you are coming back to Puerto Vallarta, that so many of you feel like you can be safe here, that you understand what's going on, and that you want to come back. This is just super, super awesome. Today, Jill Webb is still enjoying her staycation at La Palapa. You know, staycations are so good for the soul. If you're here and you're overwhelmed by the heat, go look for a day pass at a local hotel or spend the night at one of the local hotels. It sounds kind of silly. I used to think it was silly, but really it is a nice break. It is a nice break. Plus, we get to live our own town as tourists for a night. I think that's absolutely wonderful. Vince is my neighbor. He's here in Versalles. That's wonderful. Let's see. Casadero in the house. I don't know if Casadero is a cocktail or a city or a what, but it sounds really exciting. Let's see. I don't see any important questions just yet, but if you have any important questions or comments that you want us to get to, just write the letter Q before them. And I stumbled for a second because I saw that my dear new friend Tommy is in the house. I am so excited for you guys to come back. I always love it when my friends are coming back into town. Today we are going to talk about, let me just finish looking at this. Yes, we're done. Today we are going to talk about important things. We have a few news items to cover. We have some leisurely stuff, but more importantly, we remind ourselves that this is a community-funded and community-supported project. Yesterday, 2 of our viewers asked me to discuss or bring up 2 important news items that are going around in local circles today, and we're going to respond to those. Those would be the drama that is going on at Costco, or might be going on at Costco, or rather the the research that was published about Costco injustices on some of the local groups on Facebook. We're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about the disappearance of Kathleen Phelps here in Puerto Vallarta a few months ago, and what has been going on with that, and so forth and so on. But because these are two very specific topics, I'm going to leave them till the end. Because this may not be important to everybody, but I can guarantee you that we're going to address these topics in such a way that you can get a broader appreciation of some cultural things and reality things about Mexico that you may not be thinking about. So what we're going to offer is simply a different point of view. I see a question in the house. Casa Bellavista Lynn asks, you got me thinking, what are best day pass resorts and prices? Good question. Let me briefly tell you of a specific review that I received from my friend Catherine. She went to the Crown Paradise Resort, which is not one of the newer places. It's near the Maritime Terminal. And this particular resort appeals to me personally because, and this is going to sound horrible, but I'm just going to put it out there. Please don't judge me. It's an adult-only resort. There are no children there. And I believe my friends paid, I think it was 750 pesos for an all-day resort day, all included, and everything that you pay for is credited back to your account. So if you consider that you get there early and you have breakfast, and then you're having cocktails, and then you have lunch, and you're having more cocktails, and maybe even having an early dinner, and you can really have a good time. But that's not the only place. There are big, small places out there. There are always lists. It's always great to get some information from people that have been. So if I hear of some other places, I will be happy to share them. If you hear of other places that you would like to share with us, please let us know. Before we dive in, I see somebody that is new. Shaiman, welcome. We started to listen to you in Canada. Now we are in PV and your neighbors in Versailles. That is so wonderful. Versailles is awesome. It's just like one block that way. It is really, really great. Steve says, give us some good news. As USA had over 83,000 COVID-19 cases, a single day high since the pandemic started. Steve, I'm going to try to give you the most empathy I can. I'm going to try to make you smile. And I think we have at least one or two bits of good news today. And if not, I'll make up for it tomorrow on Sunday Funday, where I am ready to lose my virginity again just to make you smile. And remember, tomorrow we have absolutely no news, which is something else that you should know if you're new to Coffee and Headlines. Sunday is Sunday Fun Day. We talk about everything but bad news. Nothing is sacred. No one is safe tomorrow. So tomorrow we might do some, I have no idea what we're going to do tomorrow, as a matter of fact, but I'll be thinking about it through the day. With all that said, let us dive into the news. Well, we have reports from the weekly stoplight. Let me see if I can get rid of this ginormous ad, which blocks my view. There you go. We got the report of the weekly stoplight, the COVID stoplight here in Mexico. And we see that one state returned to the red color, and I believe that was the state of Chihuahua. Jalisco is an orange color. And there we go. Here's a map. There is Chihuahua, which went back to the red. Yellow states include Chiapas, Guanajuato, Morelos, Oaxaca, Puebla, Sinaloa, Sonora, Tabasco, Tamaulipas, Tlaxcala, Veracruz, bingo. And we have one state that is in the green. Campeche has been in the green zone for, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks now, which is wonderful. Let us hope for their own sake that they will continue to stay in that color. Meanwhile, we know here in Jalisco that our governor met with his health council yesterday, and only God knows what he's going to report tomorrow, because apparently There was a record number of new cases yesterday in Jalisco, 900 new cases. And this is the highest number we have ever seen. I have a bad feeling about this, as they said in Star Wars. But, we're just going to have to wait and see what the numbers that our governor reports tomorrow tell us about what our future is going to be like and what will actually happen if the emergency button gets pushed. Um, Along those lines, there was some kind of survey conducted by El Informador, which is one of the sources that we read on a regular basis here at Coffee and Headlines. And this survey indicates that 4 out of 5 people in Jalisco support the activation of the emergency button. As we know, the application of the emergency button would be for measures that would last for 2 weeks. I don't want to speak about specific measures because, again, it seems like those measures might be shifted or have been shifted. You have referred to it as moving, the constant moving of the goalpost. And it also makes me wonder, and this is just my own musing, um, if COVID is not going to go away in the near future, and I think it's pretty clear that it's not. At this point, we're learning to coexist with it. It may call for the occasional shutdown every few months or every few weeks just to keep things in check. But again, I am not an expert. We have scientists that are in charge of that, and hopefully they're making the best possible decisions for us. Um, and in case you were wondering, birds don't really get killed when you use wind power. And that was completely unrelated, but I had to put it out there. Um, we also learn that the airport in Puerto Vallarta is going to be having a new terminal. They are going to continue with their expansion plans. What expansion plans? Well, what a great question that is. There's going to be a second terminal at the airport, Terminal 2, which is going to involve an investment of 4,000 million pesos. This was announced, excuse me, at the beginning of the year, and COVID-19 has delayed plans for it, but I think this is going to continue. The paper doesn't tell us specifically when this will happen, but yay, we're going to have a bigger airport at some point in the future, hopefully sometime soon. This is very, very important. Let us remember that summertime ends in Mexico tonight at midnight. So tonight, before you go to sleep, if you have manual clocks that don't update themselves automatically, tonight we want to push our time back 1 hour. This has nothing to do with this does not have anything to do with the time change in the United States, although we know that the United States does not change their time schedule this weekend, which can bring a little bit of confusion to people that are flying in and out of Puerto Vallarta, for example. So it's best in the next few days and even in the next few weeks, if you're getting used to the new time, that you are mindful of the fact that we're going to be on different time zones for a little while. More than once have we heard horror stories of somebody that was supposed to be at the airport and only to find out that their plane took off 1 hour earlier or something to that effect. Let me take a quick look at your comments before we move on to the leisurely stuff. Du, 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 du. You got me. The day passes. We've been there. Good news. We've been there. Can't wait to go to La Cruz in 3 weeks. Good for you, Kelly. How wonderful. How wonderful. Pam, parim, pam, 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 pam. Paco perdiendo su virginidad. Yes, I lose my virginity about once a month, if I get lucky. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Dean says, I think you're safer in PVR or Mexico at this point in time. Well, I'm sorry, Jorge says that. It's a personal thing. It's a personal thing. We all know where we feel safest, and that's just the way it is. I love you back, Karen. Birds don't get killed. That was a priceless moment the other night if you watched the presidential debate. Um, Susan thanks us for the change of the time change reminder. Um, I know that there's a verse out there, but I always get them confused. It's like, since it only comes once or twice a year, this is not information that I keep in my buttery brain. I just forget. But tomorrow or tonight before you go to sleep, that's when we change the clocks. Let us dive into the weather, if we may. It's hot. It's 28 degrees Celsius and it feels like 32, and it's 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and humidity is 86%, and the baby from the house next door seems to be melting. Uh, let's see. Carrot Weather says, I'm not going to take your skin as a trophy if it is all damaged by the sun. That makes perfect sense to me. Let's take a look at the weather forecast. I get distracted because at the corner of my eye, I'm reading your comments as they go, and I'm thinking ahead as to how I'm going to respond to them. This is called authentic live streaming multitasking. Anyhow, today, humid and partly cloudy through the day with a high temperature of 32 degrees. Tomorrow, we can expect the same thing, humid and through the day with a high temperature of 32. And Monday, it'll be humid and partly cloudy through the day with a high temperature of 32. This freaking pinche heat wave doesn't seem to want to go away. And we know that because the paper tells us more about, I call it the paper, but it's Vallarta Opina website. We are going to have yet another heat wave, and we're going to continue to have very, very high temperatures. This particular chart, don't get panicky. It says that it's going to get up to 40 degrees Celsius. I think that is a perceived sense. Okay. It says that in the next few days, the real temperature will be between 36 and 40 degrees. That's a little high. Somehow, I'm not so sure about those numbers. But the fact is that we are still in the middle of this very freaky heat wave, unprecedented, because we are not getting the rain that we usually get this month. We're not even getting the hurricanes that we usually get this month. Another weather forecast that I read elsewhere commented on the fact that the hurricanes seem to be strangely absent from us. Yesterday, we reported that the Bellas Artes, the Fine Arts Palace in Mexico City, would offer the very first public performance. But unfortunately, the performance was canceled canceled to the public. It was streamed, but it was canceled to the public because Mexico City was not able to change from orange to yellow in COVID, in the COVID stoplight. So Claudia Scheinbaum, the mayor of Mexico City, said, well, this is probably not such a good idea. So the soloists that were going to perform did perform, but they performed to an empty audience. Parenthetically, take a look at this photo and take a look at the size of the grand piano and the pianist when compared to the monumental iron glass screen that I've been talking about at Bellas Artes. This gives you a sense as to how freaking ginormous that stained glass curtain is, made by Tiffany. Again, if you're ever in Mexico City, this is something that you want to enjoy. Parenthetically, from reading the article, I learned that Bellas Artes, the Fine Arts Palace, was only going to sell 140 seats for the event. I mean, they have a capacity of the thousands, but they were only going to sell 140 seats, and apparently they were completely sold out. And I held on to this other news note about the same topic because I wanted you to at least see the outside of this majestic, beautiful venue located in Mexico City. And let's see. Next, I have this news of this gigantic sailboat, which apparently is docked at the maritime terminal. And I'm going to read through the fluffy text only to detect what it is about. And boy, do they write fluffy in Vallarta Opina. The vessel is called Fidels. It is a British vessel built in 2011 and designed by Ron Holland and the Perini Navy. It is 46 meters tall, it is 55 meters long, and there's a lot of ads there. It has a diesel engine. It's supposed to be fabulous inside. It holds 12 passengers in double cabins. It even has its own swimming pool, I saw somewhere over here. Check it out. There is the little swimming pool inside of the yacht. Now, I haven't seen it because I haven't been in that neck of the woods, but supposedly this is at the Maritime Terminal. In case you happen to drive by, now you know what it is all about. Now, let me take a look at your comments before we get into the Costco snafu and so forth and so on. So what time will I be on? I will be on at 10:30 Puerto Vallarta time. And because I am very bad at calculating this, it's I'm never sure whether we're going to be at 1 hour earlier or 1 hour later. I wish I knew, but I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to give you an answer because I don't know exactly what the answer is. Candace, it is fucking hot and humid. Absolutely. And today I have to go out walking out and about, but I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it. Please, what is the name of the all-inclusive next to the marina? Maggie, I'm sorry, but you have to be kidding me. There are quite a few of them. I really couldn't tell you which one you refer to, but right next to the marina, there's at least 2 or 3 or 4 hotels, and they're all inclusive. My best suggestion to you is to open Google Maps and take a look at the names of some of the places that are located over there. How could it possibly go up to 40 degrees? 34 is bad enough. Well, you haven't lived in Monterrey, which is where I was born, Marcia. It gets really, really hot up there. Oh, thank you very much, Terry. Thank you for the math. I will be on at 9:30 your time tomorrow. Why does Heidi not get any sound? I am not sure. Did I miss what you were going to share about the woman who is missing? No, you haven't missed it, Lisa. I'm going to talk about it in a second. And if you ever think that you're going to miss something, you know, there are reruns and you can always watch the show elsewhere. I'm not elsewhere, but at a different time, which is really wonderful. Jeannie says, I told the kids to leave my boat at home for cleaning. I hate it when they take my boat out. I hear you, Jeannie. You know, it's just not nice. Just not nice. Anyhow, let us dive into the 2 interesting topics that were requested. The first one has to do with some comments that have been published online about injustices taking place at Costco. Before I dive into this, I want to tell you that the request to talk about it was made very kindly, and it came from what I think is a good place. So Luna appreciates that when you're kind and you come from a good place, so I had to mention that. Anyhow, somebody published what I'm going to share with you in one or several of the local Facebook groups. If you've read about this, oh, thank you very much, Karen. You may have been referring to Crown Paradise, and if the question had to do with a place that has the day pass, it is the Crown Paradise, and it is close to Marina Vallarta. My bad. I didn't know if the question had to do with that or somebody else. Yes, and Jorge supports that notion. Yes, I'm sorry, Maggie. If you were asking about the all-inclusive that I referred to, it is the Crown Paradise. Mind you, sometimes these places offer the day pass intermittently based on their own actual occupancy. So it's always good to call ahead. Some places require advanced reservations, such as the Marriott at Marina Vallarta. Another great place to spend the day, or so I've heard. Anyhow, back to the rest of the show. Costco. Somebody published let me just show it to you, and I've taken the liberty of highlighting the parts that I'm going to focus on today. Injustice at the Vallarta Costco, where parking lot workers put in 10-hour days without pay. For months, I've been investigating the situation at Costco, and not only are their parking lot workers unpaid, but they must pay 50 pesos a day to Nacho, who was authorized by the store manager to bring them from Chiapas and Oaxaca, Mexico's poorest states. If they miss a day, Nacho fines them 150 pesos. The workers must start at 7:30 to sweep the parking lot, clean and organize the carts. Not until 3 hours later do they begin to earn tips when the store opens. They work in the burning sun and in the pouring rain without any protection. The workers told me they earn 0 to 250 pesos per day from tips. They must also purchase 3 meals, water during the hours they work unpaid in the hot sun. In contrast, Nacho makes more than 1,000 pesos a day from this abusive scheme. What can we do? Speak to Costco store manager and ask for these employees to receive a salary at La Comer, the parking lot. Assistants now earn 1,000 pesos a week. Number two, share this story with friends and with the media. Ask for an investigation. The fact that some people are so desperate that they would accept these working conditions does not make it right. The end. Okay, first of all, I think this comes from a good place, and that is absolutely important. I think the person that published this is a good person that is concerned. But there are some things that I would like to put in perspective just because, despite the fact that this person claims that this person did a research for many months, and James asks, what is the source of this report about Costco? And that is such an important question, James. The source is an individual who took it upon, I believe it's a woman, somehow I think it's a woman, took it upon himself or herself to do this research on her own, and just put out a big statement on social media, on Facebook. And I noticed that a lot of people responded to it, and a lot of people kept back and forthing about it. So a lot of people invested a lot of emotional energy on this. So let us start with some important things to keep in mind. First of all, Mexico has a capitalist economy. And like any country that has one kind of capitalist economy or another, there are people that earn more money than others. And in many instances, this is not a fair situation. Something else to keep in mind, Mexico is one of the countries in the world that has a high statistic percentage of informal economy. Take a look at this chart from the International Labor Organization. This chart shows us that Mexico is around 60% of informal economy. And this means that more people in Mexico make money informally than people that have formal jobs. Countries that have even higher numbers are located in Africa, for example, and so forth and so on. Now, what has this got to do with the situation going on at Costco? Number one, that situation, which qualifies as informal employment, is a lot more widespread than you think. To look at another graphic that I found, and this one comes from our own government, the INEGI, which is the Mexican equivalent of the Census Bureau, published in April of 2020 that informal employment is at 56.2%. So this is the number of people that don't have benefits, don't have Social Security, don't have dental, don't have this, that, and the other. So again, it is unfortunate that people are working under these circumstances, but it is not uncommon. I'm not saying it is fair or unfair or fortunate or unfortunate, but it is not uncommon. Now, something else that jumps out at me, they work in the burning sun and in the pouring rain without any protection. Well, there are many types of jobs that are under that situation. Take construction workers, take safety, safeguards, lifeguards. I mean, there are a lot of people that work in the sun and in the rain. That is part of the nature of the beast. And now, here's some good news. This says that the workers can earn up to 250 pesos per day uh, from tips. You know, this is good news because do you know what the daily minimum wage in Mexico is? It is less than 150 pesos a day. And we look again at official sources. You know, the minimum wage in Mexico starting on January 1st, 2020, and there's a huge table here in case you want to know how much people actually make. Most people from people that work selling electrodomestics at a shop, they earn less money, 185 pesos a day, than what these street people working at Costco are making. And let me tell you something. There are many well known businesses in this town that don't even pay minimum wage to their employees. They have their wage, they have their employees just making tips. Many bars in town, that's how they employ their bartenders. So are these employees really hurting? Are they whining? I'm sorry to say that. You know, I take Ubers every day. And sometimes I always ask the Uber driver, hey, how are you doing? How is your day going? And a lot of times they're just happy to do their job. They realize that the situation is tough, but they're happy to have a job. And then the other day, I hopped on an Uber, and this guy told me of all the money that Uber takes away from the fee that we pay. And it is dictated on whether they get to the destination too quickly or too slowly, or the percentage, or so forth and so on. So, again, I don't mean to undermine any of this situation, but I think we need to decide what kind of situations we are going to invest our emotional energy on any given day. Or to put it more colloquially, we need to decide what we're going to let our panties get all in a bunch. Let me take another look at this because I'm sure I'm missing something. Oh, of course I am missing something. What we can do, ask people to speak to the store manager and ask for an investigation. Well, I thought the person that published this had been investigating, so why are we asking for another investigation? Number two, and this is probably the most important thing, I everything seems to indicate that whoever wrote this does not speak Spanish. Because if this person spoke Spanish, then this person would have probably walked to the manager himself or herself and asked the manager directly. Secondly, and most importantly, you know, if I am in a foreign country, and I have to assume that this was written by an English speaking person of foreign extraction, if I am in a foreign country and something doesn't look right to me, I would talk to a local, a Mexican national first. You know, I would say, hey, what the fuck? I go to restaurants and some of the toilet seats don't have toilet seats. Or I go to public places and people are taking a dump and then leaving their toilet paper on a basket. You know, we all go through life trying to imprint our values on people around us. I mean, I do it on every time we get together here. I always end the show by saying, you know, stay kind, stay calm, etc., etc. And it is our personal choice as viewers or listeners to decide, well, I'm going to let this person imprint values on me or not. We have the ultimate say on whether we're going to let something get our our panties in a bunch or not. Um, I think this situation in Costco is sad, But I also think that some of the construction workers that made and built the condos that some of you inhabit and the condos that some of you rent on Airbnb at astronomical prices, I think those workers made a lot less money than the Costco workers. And I also think that they worked in the sun and in the rain. And in this current situation of the pandemic, anybody that has a job of any kind should consider themselves lucky, given the huge rate of unemployment that there is right now in Mexico and the rest of the world. So, again, I don't mean to undermine the situation at Costco. I don't mean to undermine the thorough research made by this particular individual, but I invite you to make a choice for yourself as to whether you are going to invest a lot of time and a lot of emotional energy today reading all those posts on Facebook and answering to them and getting invested on this one. If you want to go for this one, power to you. If you want to go for stray cats that need neutering, go for it. You pick your battles today. And that is the first one. The second one has to do with this particular headline that was sent to me by someone, and it has to do with the case of Kathleen Phelps, who disappeared from Puerto Vallarta a few months ago. And this was published by Vallarta Uno. And they say here, we are alternative journalism with analysis and investigation. And somebody said to me, please translate this. And this is a huge blow by blow about what happened to this woman from Tara Short, the first contact, and then the seduction, and then the game the guy played, and then the last message, and then the criminal investigation, and then the mistaken identity, and so forth and so on. So this is a huge blow by blow that I am not going to translate. Sorry, I am not. I'm going to comment on it. I was asked to translate. The request was made kindly and it came from a good place, but I'm still not going to translate because you can translate this by yourselves using Google Translator, and you know that. And you know that Google Translator will give you a good enough translation to get a sense as to what went on. If you have morbid curiosity about what all this stuff was or is or will be, I'm sure you wouldn't even bring it up here. You would ask your friends. Now, everything that I'm going to tell you now does not undermine the tragic disappearance of this particular individual. Everything that I'm going to offer has more to do with some perspective. And we start by the venue or by the source that it came from. This same Vallarta Uno that claims to do analysis and investigation, their headline starts by saying terror in paradise. Terror in paradise. Those are the first three words on the article. So I have to wonder if these thorough analysis and investigation journalists were really interested in thorough analysis, or were they more interested in alarming the shit out of the population? So you can imagine this is not a news source that I come to on a regular basis when it comes to looking at important news. Now, when people disappear, things happen to people, it is always horrible. But look at what happened with the pandemic. People started getting sick, and we were like, oh my God, people were starting to getting sick. We're starting to getting sick, and we're all worried about this and so forth and so on. And then Tom Hanks got coronavirus, and we were like, oh my God, Tom Hanks has coronavirus. And then we started paying attention to what happened to Tom Hanks during coronavirus. Well, by the time Tom Hanks had coronavirus, a shitload of people had gotten coronavirus. And we didn't give them attention because they were not close to us. But it's happening. And what happens is that people disappear. People disappear in Mexico. People disappear elsewhere. And again, I don't mean to offend the family and friends of this particular individual. I feel your pain. But again, I have to decide for myself whether I'm going to let this get my panties in a bunch today or not. Let's take a look at some facts. Mexico reports that 4,960 people have disappeared in Mexico in what we've lived so far this year, 2020. 4,960 people disappear in Mexico. We don't necessarily pay attention to all of them. We don't get all upset about it. It is important, it is horrible, but this disappearance of a person here in Puerto Vallarta, and I'm sorry to be blunt, it is sad, but it happens. It happens here. It happens in the United States. I took at this report from the website missing.dc.gov, which is an official website in the United States, in Washington, D.C., and we look at statistics of missing persons in the United States. So far, they've had 2,063 missing people in the United States. And then we look at this other number from Amnesty International, where we learn that disappearances are most prevalent in countries such as Syria, Sri Lanka, and get this, Argentina. I mean, this is really, really, truly sad. And in fact, we learn that Russian authorities are in Puerto Vallarta right now because they are collaborating with local authorities that have detected that a Russian citizen has disappeared in Puerto Vallarta, and this is currently being investigated. So these are horrible things. COVID is a horrible thing. Being run by a bus is a horrible thing. Being drugged and having your possessions stolen is a horrible thing. Horrible things happen, and they don't happen because I say so. They just happen. The bottom line is we need to wake up every morning and make a certain decision for ourselves as to what we're going to allow to get our panties in a bunch. And speaking of panties, I'm wearing my shorts today. I always wear my shorts. And that's what I wanted to contribute for these two particular situations. Again, I don't think anybody involved in these situations comes from a bad place or comes from a bad intention. Everybody here is showing concern. Everybody here is showing worry. But again, for mental sanity, for our own peace of mind, we need to decide what we're going to let upset our day or not. And that is, my friends, a personal decision. And it's a decision that helps us. And this is really important. You know, there's a lot of tribes in this town. There's some tribes that are very liberal, other tribes that are very conservative. There are some tribes that are very critical and judgmental. There are some tribes in this town that are very empathic, that are supportive and nurturing. So we get to decide what tribes we want to be in. And we get to decide how much we want people around us to imprint their values on us or not. It's a personal decision, my friends. You don't have to read everything you read on Facebook. You don't have to watch coffee and headlines. You get to decide for yourselves. So let me take a quick look at your reactions. I actually don't mean to preach, Barbara, because I'm just a regular guy like you and me trying to make sense of the world. I happen to also do some investigation, although I could never spend months investigating a parking lot. I just have too much on my hands. But some quick digging into the internet yesterday, and it didn't take me months. It took me just 2 hours. No, not even. It took me an hour to pull out those interesting websites just to help all of us learn a little bit about our Mexican culture and how employment works or doesn't work here. I saw somebody that said something along the lines of, well, Mexico has the worst employment situation in the world. Well, fuck you. You know? I mean, you're not well informed. You look at some other countries and Jesus, you just want to die. Anyhow, let's take a look. Baggers at grocery stores don't have a salary. They earn only tips. Absolutely right. They don't have Social Security. Do you know how much it would cost Costco or Walmart or La Comer to buy to pay for Social Security for all those employees? Good heavens. Thank you back, James. Tizzy panties. Well, I get that expression all mixed up. I even had to look it up yesterday because I always say tizzy. I always say tizzy, panties in a tizzy, but that's not the expression. It's panties in a bunch. La 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 la. Carol, Travis, absolutely. Those people in Costco are not employees. And I'm sure that if you go to Costco management is going to wash their hands and they're going to say they're not our employees. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but that's what they're going to react. Question from Randall. Are these people working in the Costco parking lot official employees or are they freelancing? They are not official employees. I don't think they make, I don't think they have Social Security. I don't have Social Security. If I wanted to have Social Security, maybe I would go to work for Costco in the rain and in the sun. Um, I want to protect the kitties on Isla del Gato. Good for you, James. You see, if that is what you choose to invest your emotional energy or your passion or your conviction or your money to donate to this cause, that is our prerogative. And may you enjoy yourself. Absolutely. Um, La la di la 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 la. La la di la 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 la. Irene, thank you for that, but you have not seen me when I've had a bottle of wine. I am not the voice of reason. Um, let's take a quick look. Da-da-da-da. The issue with Kathleen Phelps isn't that someone went missing, it's that the prosecutor's office and police have failed to fully investigate and seek justice. Thank you very much. Um, it is always interesting to hear people defend the low wages of the Mexican workers. I always will stand up for the average worker and cost of living excuse is too easy to make for employees. I hear you. Thank you for the variation, Heidi. I don't wear knickers. I wear panties sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. I never wear panties. Um, can't get your panties in a bunch if you go commando. You know, I'd never go commando. I really don't because I get sweat. You know, I mean, I imagine women get sweat under your breasts. Well, we get sweat down there. And going commando, not fun in the Puerto Vallarta summer weather. Uh, Uber or taxi? I am an Uber boy. I love Uber. I don't like the yellows. I avoid them whenever I can, but I like Uber. It works for me. Will I talk about vendedores ambulantes at some point? Gladly, because the vast majority of people, again, a lot of people work in informal economy here in Mexico. Am I on a roll today? Well, I'm just reacting to your needs. You sponsor this program with your membership and your contributions. You are the boss here. So I try to give you content that goes along the lines of what you expect to find here. And if you ever find something here that you don't like, let me know. That's what our little feedback button on the website, the contact button on the website is about. La la li la li la la. Ooh, knickers, panties, twist, roll. I love this. I love this. Sometimes it's necessary to say, well, fuck you. Okay, I get the hint, Julie, and I will be so happy to oblige at the end of the program. Um, the Taco Bell wine is on its way, as I understand it. I am so very happy about this. Oh, girl, just rewind the tape. Um, Knickers in a knot. I tell you, these expressions just crack me up. But that brings me to the end of the show. It's already 11:18. I'm gonna be late. But this is what it is. And again, I'm going to imprint my values on you, whether you like it or not. Or if you don't like it, let me know. But I'm going to wish you to have a happy day. Stay calm, stay happy, stay kind, stay informed. Stay informed and choose well where you're going to invest your emotional energy. You know, because there's only so much. There's only so much that we have. Before we leave, I'm going to give you the fine words of one of our most important correspondents here at Coffee and Headlines, and I'm going to wish you a lovely day.